Got a brother named Keith and a brother named Steve. You mess with them and y'all got to deal with me. When I'm chilling, I got to be able to see everything. See all the cameras at the top up there. My front porch, basketball court, my back porch. All the cameras show different angles, you know what I'm saying? So I can see, I don't have no blind spots in my house. DVD, PlayStation in the back. Of course, you know I got to like bang it out, you know what I'm saying? Like 15s, amped up. See my name, called the thing signature. Jaguar, home 20s, you know what I mean? That's how we do that thing.
So Silkk The Shocker, what's that name? What does that mean? Silkk The Shocker.
I mean, I'm gonna shock the world, yo.
You wanna shock the world, all right.
Silkk The Shocker, whose real name is Vaishan King Miller, was born on June 18, 1971. In New Orleans, Louisiana. Growing up, he was exposed to music at a young age, as his father was a DJ and his mother was a singer. He grew up in the Calliope projects, a public housing development in the uptown area of New Orleans. He had a difficult childhood, growing up in a poor and rough neighborhood. Despite the challenges he faced, he was determined to make something of himself, and he found solace in music. Silkk The Shocker and his two brothers, Master P and C Murder, began rapping together in the early 1980s, and in the early 1990s, they formed the group True, which stands for The Real Untouchables. True released their debut album, Understanding the Criminal Mind, in 1992, and their second album, Who's the Killer, in 1993. While both of them only received moderate success, it helped to put the group on the map and establish them as an up-and-coming act in the hip-hop scene. In 1995, Master P, after 4 years of struggle, managed to form his own record label, NoLimit Records, and the label quickly became one of the most successful independent labels of the 1990s. Silkk The Shocker and Master P both released solo albums under the label, and together they helped to establish the bounce style of hip-hop that originated in New Orleans, which would go on to influence many other artists. Silkk The Shocker's rise to fame began after NoLimit landed a deal with Priority Records. He first appeared on Dancehall Hustlers Bouncin' and Swingin' compilation album released by NoLimit in 1995. This spawned the classic Dancehall collaboration, Players from the South, featuring Master P, Silkk The Shocker, and UGK.
Players from the South stand G's.
Soon he released his debut album, The Shocker, in August 1996. At the time, he was going under the name Silkk. The album was produced by Beats by the Pound and featured guest appearances from C Murder, Master P, Mia X, and True. The album cover initially had Silkk holding a 9mm pistol outside of a TV. Just before its release, the parental advisory logo was added to the cover, for clear reasons. The album was a mild success, and it reached number 49 on the US Billboard 200. This is where his full name originated from, and soon, he changed his name to Silkk The Shocker. After the release of the album, he went on to appear on numerous tracks from True's True to the Game, Mia X's Unladylike, and Mystical's Unpredictable. He also appeared on Master P's 1997 hit, Make 'Em Say which became a massive hit in the United States. While working on these singles, he didn't forget to work on his second studio album, and on February 17, 1998, he released Charge It to the Game. One of the singles for the album was It Ain't My Fault, featuring Mystical. The single became a hit, reaching 18th place on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 1 on Billboard Hot Rap Singles. The album also had more successful singles, including a track with Destiny's Child called Just Be Straight With Me. The same year, Silkk was featured on the hit single Moving On, a song from Maya's self-titled debut album, Maya. Charge It to the Game was a huge success over time. It stayed on the Billboard album charts for over a year and later was even certified platinum. The album helped Silkk to establish himself as a successful artist. He wanted to keep his momentum going and understood that this was his time to shine. So not even a year later, he released his third studio album, Made Man. The album was another huge success for Silkk. It sold 240,000 copies in its first week alone, making it his second platinum album and first platinum album debuting at number 1 on the US Billboard 200s. Apart from becoming platinum, this album made Silkk The Shocker one of the only rappers to go platinum with 2 albums within a 1-year time span. The other was the one and only DMX. It had guest appearances from Snoop Dogg, Maya, Jay-Z, and Master P. The music video for Ghetto Rain was also NoLimit's first animated clay motion music video. Silkk was at the top of the world. The same year, he picked up the lead role in the major NoLimit Records film called Hot Boys. This wasn't his first time trying to act. He started acting back in 1997, playing a Vito Silkk McKnight role in a movie About It and a couple of others before Hot Boys. He liked acting and was trying to branch off. Plus, people were starting to get a little bit tired of the same sound. You see, although the album did really great, people criticized the album, saying that NoLimit stopped bringing anything new to the table. The features were always the same and no changes in flows or sound. This eventually became a frequent criticism towards a lot of NoLimit artists. Despite all of that, Silkk released his fourth studio album, My World, My Way, on February 27, 2001. Singles like He Did That and That's Cool was a huge success once again, making it to number 8 on the top hip-hop singles and tracks list. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said about the album. While it peaked at number 12 on the Billboard 200s, it failed to gather a lot of noise. This definitely didn't make Silkk happy, but this was only the beginning of his worries. By the time Silkk released his album My World, My Way, NoLimit was already facing serious problems. In the early 2000s, Master P, Snoop Dogg, C Murder, Silkk, Magic, and Mac were the label's most celebrated rappers. By the late 2000s, Ghetto Commission, Mystical, and Big Ed had left the label. The following year, Mac was sentenced to 30 years in prison, Snoop Dogg left the label after his 3-year contract came to an end, and C Murder was working on his own label, True Records. All the pressure of keeping NoLimit rolling was put on P, Magic, and Silkk. Not only that, but their distribution deal with Priority Records had expired. They signed a distribution deal with Universal Records for $10 million and renamed NoLimit to the new NoLimit. The most important question at the time was, will NoLimit manage to continue their success after so many artists left their label? On December 17, 2003, the company filed for bankruptcy due to various lawsuits. They moved to Koch Records for distribution, and on September 7, 2004, Silkk The Shocker released his 5th studio album, called Based on a True Story. It debuted at number 88 on Billboard 200, and later became his lowest charting album. It was clear that it was over for NoLimit. After his album flopped and his brother's label went down, Silkk decided to take a break from music. While he put his music on hold, he was still pursuing his career as an actor and appeared in multiple movies throughout the years. In 2006, he was featured on the WWE Reckless Intent album, and some speculated about his comeback. 2009 also wasn't the easiest year for Silkk. His brother C Murder was found guilty of murdering 16-year-old Stephen Thomas back in the 2002 Louisiana nightclub incident. Corey Miller's retrial began in August 2009. At the retrial, once again, Darnell Jordan claimed under oath that C Murder killed Steve Thomas.
When prosecutors asked Jordan, who killed Thomas, Jordan answered, C Murder.
In a BET interview, he mentioned never actually seeing a gun. Even when he moved Miller out of the fight, he raised his hands and he saw no gun. He claims that when they tricked him, police couldn't go back and just ran with the story. That's it. It was too high of a profile case for them to lose. Even though he was talking like this back in 2018, during the case, he never mentioned anything like this and even expressed fear of repercussions for his testimony. There is also information that prosecutors also charged C Murder's associates with witness tampering. I mentioned all of the stuff about him calling himself C Murder, songs, albums, covers, not without any reason. You see, all of these were used against him in court. Nowadays we see rappers' song lyrics being used against them in court, but this wasn't any different back in 2009. Lyrics like these were quoted in the courtroom.
I think that's ridiculous. I think that's like me, that's like Robert De Niro getting a ticket and me, reading a line from Goodfellas. It makes no sense.
But people, they ask a question like, well, do you feel like rappers have a responsibility, with their lyrics? No. Their only responsibility is to make it as hot as you think it could be.
On August 11, 2009, the jury found Corey Miller guilty of second-degree murder. He was sentenced to mandatory life imprisonment. What is interesting about this case is that he was found guilty of murder, intent to vote. It was not unanimous. Louisiana was the only state where you can convict someone to life in prison with non-unanimous jurists. Even though in 2018 it was decided to end non-unanimous juries in Louisiana, the change was not retroactive. On August 21, 2010, he released All I Do Is Win mixtape, which marked his return to hip-hop. He signed with his nephew's new record label, NoLimit Forever Records, and confirmed that he was working on his 6th studio album called Incredible. He also went on tour with his brother Master P and nephew Romeo. Afterward, he once again disappeared from music. On November 5, 2013, Silkk announced on his Twitter account that he was still working on his upcoming album, Incredible, and even released a single, Don't Give Up, on April 2014. A month later, he released another single of the album, We Ain't Trippin'. On September 4th, 2015, he released the third single off his incredible album called Business. While some sources claim that the album came out in 2015 along with a movie of the same name, I can't find it on YouTube or Spotify. From 2015 to 2023, he appeared in 5 movies, which include Incredible, More Money, More Family, I Got the Hookup 2, Kings of the Castle, and My Perfect Wedding. He also released 5 singles, and even an album back in 2018 called It Will All Make Sense Later. There's little to no data about the album, so I assume it wasn't that successful. The album had a couple of features, like Master P, Romeo, Mr. Mace, and even NBA Youngboy. To this day, he appears in lots of interviews, and one thing is for sure, his attitude and respect towards others makes Silkk The Shocker one of the nicest rappers out there. Silkk The Shocker's impact on the music industry is undeniable. His style, flow, delivery, and his ability to collaborate with other rappers, as well as his success as an independent artist, helped to establish him as one of the most respected artists in the industry. His legacy continues to inspire many other artists today. He was a major player in NoLimit success, and without him, a lot of rappers would have never had the careers that they had. People nowadays tend to put him in the worst rappers list, but fail to see how unique and influential Silkk was, and still is. He wasn't just any kind of rapper. He was a man who didn't try to be unique and have his own style. Silkk The Shocker is a perfect example that you don't need to beef with the whole industry to stay relevant. He made more friends than enemies in the music industry, for which he will be remembered as one of the greats from New Orleans.